Thank you, donors.
From the bottom of our hearts, we're just so grateful.
Every 5 minutes, someone in India is diagnosed with blood cancer or a blood disorder such as thalassemia or aplastic anemia. For many patients, their only chance of survival is a blood stem cell transplant from a matching donor. Only around 30% of patients find a matching donor within their own family. All other patients have to rely on finding a donor on the worldwide database. By joining the DKMS BMST Stem Cell Donor Registry as a blood stem cell donor, you can give hope to patients and their families. This is simple and involves the following steps. Step 1. Donor registration and cheek swab sample collection. To register as a donor, go to our website at dkms-bmst.org/register. Check your eligibility and complete a registration form. You will then receive a do-it-yourself swab kit at home. Follow the instructions. Take a swab of the inside of your cheeks and send it back to us with your signed consent form. We will analyze your swabs in our lab to determine your HLA characteristics, which is important for matching with the patient. You are now available on the worldwide database. It may take days, weeks, months, or even years before you come up as a match for someone. But if it does happen, you may be the only person who could give a patient in need a second chance at life. Step 2. Information session and confirmatory typing. Once you come up as a match for a patient, our DKMS BMST coordinator will get in touch with you for a detailed info session, ask a few questions about your health status, and explain the peripheral blood stem cell donation method, PBSC. Confirmatory typing. This step involves a blood draw to confirm that your HLA characteristics match with the patient and to check for a few important infectious diseases such as HIV, hepatitis, malaria, etc. You will also be asked to fill in a health questionnaire to confirm that there are no health issues preventing you from donating your blood stem cells. Step 3. Confirmation of PBSC donation. Once it is determined that you are the best match and the patient is ready to proceed, we will schedule a medical assessment and the PBSC donation. Step 4. Consultation with a collection center physician and medical assessment. You will be donating your blood stem cells at an authorized collection center. You will meet a physician from the collection center who will explain the PBSC procedure, review your health condition, and answer your questions. Detailed laboratory and diagnostic tests will be conducted to ensure you are fit and healthy to donate blood stem cells. Donor final clearance. After the physical examination and the lab reports, the physician will give clearance confirming that you are medically fit to proceed with the donation. Your committed decision is of prime importance. Once the patient has been prepared to receive your stem cells, withdrawing would pose a serious risk to their life. Step 5. GCSF administration. Once you are cleared for the PBSE donation, you will undergo a 5-day course of GCSF injections. On the first 4 days, a nurse visits your house and administers the GCSF injection, and on the 5th day, the injection will be given to you at the collection center before the PBSE donation. GCSF occurs naturally in the body and is used to increase the number of stem cells in your bloodstream. You may feel some temporary discomforts such as cold or flu-like symptoms. These symptoms will disappear within a day or two following the donation, and you can take non-aspirin products for relief from the discomfort. Step 6. Peripheral blood stem cell donation. Congrats, you're almost there. You are now at the final stage, the day of the donation. You arrive at the collection center and settle down comfortably for a 3 to 4 hour process that does not involve any anesthesia or hospitalization. Blood is drawn through one vein, passed through an apheresis machine to collect your stem cells, and the rest of the blood is returned to your body through the other arm. Occasionally, another donation may be required on the following day. Your body will quickly regenerate the level of blood stem cells to what they were before the donation. Your blood stem cells will be delivered straight to a patient in need to provide them with a second chance at life. Step 7. Post-donation care and follow-up. Our team will follow up with you in the weeks and months after your donation to ensure that you are well. In due course, an update on the patient's health status will be sent to you. As per confidentiality and legal policy, some countries allow patients and donors to meet with mutual consent 2 years after the donation. DKMS BMST is committed to helping every patient find a matching donor. Do your part. Register as a blood stem cell donor today at dkms-bmst.org/register.
J'ai été donneur de moelle osseuse 2 fois. Une fois pour ma grande sœur Sophie et une fois pour un inconnu. C'est un sentiment formidable. Il n'y a pas besoin d'être un super-héros pour donner. Ça prend une demi-journée et on sauve potentiellement une vie. Je suis comédien depuis que je suis tout petit. C'est mon métier, mais c'est ma passion. J'ai eu la chance de faire des rôles de gentils, de méchants, de toutes les classes sociales. Et à chaque fois de se remettre dans un nouveau challenge, c'est ça que je trouve extraordinaire. Ma grande sœur Anne-Sophie était comédienne avant moi, et sur un casting, Gérard Mordia, qui était le réalisateur de L'Île Atlantique, lui a demandé si elle avait un petit frère ou un petit cousin qui lui ressemblait pour jouer le rôle de son petit frère. C'est grâce à ma grande sœur que j'ai tourné pour la première fois, et puis voilà, de fil en aiguille, de casting en casting, ça s'est fait quoi. Avec Anne-Sophie, on était très proches et fusionnels. En 2005, j'avais 11 ans, ma grande sœur était malade, elle était à l'hôpital. Mes parents m'ont dit il y a peut-être une chance que tu puisses l'aider en lui donnant ta moelle osseuse. Dans la fratrie, il y a une chance sur 4 d'être compatible avec son frère ou sa sœur. Et pour moi, ça a été juste une évidence. Après le prélèvement de ma moelle osseuse pour ma sœur, la greffe a pris et petit à petit, elle a commencé à guérir. Malheureusement, quelques mois plus tard, elle a attrapé une pneumonie et ça l'a emporté. Le message d'espoir, c'est de se dire que quand même j'avais participé à la guérir et qu'elle était en train de se remettre. Forcément, après avoir vécu une expérience comme celle-là, on se rend compte de l'intérêt que représente le don de moelle osseuse. Et chaque personne que je rencontre et que j'arrive à convaincre de devenir donneur, je me dis que c'est une petite victoire parce que potentiellement c'est un malade qui va être guéri. À Trouville, je me sens comme chez moi en fait. Tout le monde me connaît et tout le monde connaissait Anne-Sophie aussi. Forcément, ils ont tous à un moment ou à un autre entendu parler du don de moelle osseuse. Anne-Sophie aimait bien faire de la Rosalie et on faisait souvent ici à Trouville. C'est un joli symbole, on aime bien les Rosalies. Je fais partie partie du registre des donneurs de moelle osseuse pour donner à un inconnu. Et c'est arrivé. Je trouve ça incroyable d'avoir cette chance.
Aujourd'hui, à l'instant même où je vous parle, je suis en train de donner ma moelle osseuse par le nouveau mode de prélèvement qui existe, qui est la cytaphérèse.
C'est une filtration du sang, comme un don de plaquettes pour ceux qui connaissent. On m'a pris mon sang dans un bras, on me l'a rendu dans l'autre, et entre les deux, ça passe dans une machine et on prend ce dont on a besoin pour le malade. C'est vraiment simple, c'est pas du tout douloureux. Je suis rentré chez moi, j'ai mangé, j'ai un peu dormi, et puis le lendemain, on vit normalement. On peut pas l'expliquer pourquoi, comment on est compatible, et c'est justement parce que il y a une infime chance d'être compatible avec quelqu'un qui n'est pas de sa famille qu'il faut s'inscrire et qu'il faut avoir le plus de donneurs possible inscrits sur le registre pour pouvoir un jour répondre potentiellement aux besoins d'un malade. Quand on a été donneur, on se dit que quelqu'un vit aujourd'hui avec notre moelle osseuse dans son corps et que on lui a vraiment sauvé la vie. Et ceux qui ont la chance d'être appelés, parce que moi je considère que c'est une chance, en fait c'est génial, c'est extraordinaire.
بالصدفة سجلت في أحد حملات السجل السعودي التابع لمستشفى الحرس الوطني، ومن فضل الله علي بعد 6 أشهر تواصلوا معي السجل وأبلغوني بوجود مريضة مطابقة، وكنت أنا المطابق الوحيد للمريضة، فما حصلوا أحد مطابق سواء من أسرتها أو من المسجلين في السجل السعودي. بعدها أخذت فحوصات وجلست مع أطباء جلسات استشارية ما قصروا، وتمت العملية وخرجت بنفس اليوم ولله الحمد. وكنت بعدها متحمس إني أشوف المريضة وأتابع حالتها. قابلتها بعد 4 سنوات وهي بصحة وعافية ولله الحمد، والآن أنا أعتبرها واحدة من بناتي، أسأل الله يتمم عليها بالصحة والعافية.
أخطو خطوة نحو العلاج سيصبح الأمر أسهل. وها أنا اليوم أقف أمامكم بعد شفائي، وكل فخر وامتنان أن أكون أحد أبناء هذا الوطن المعطى والسباق لكل ما يخدم أبنائك في كافة القطاعات. كما أتقدم بالشكر للمتبرع ولجميع منسوبي مستشفى الحرس الوطني على جميع ما قدموه من جهود ورعاية للمرضى. وأخيرا أتمنى أن أكون مثالا للأمن والصبر لمن هم بمثل حالتي. أسأل المولى الذي كتب لي فرحة الشفاء أن يشفي جميع مرضى المسلمين.
สภากาชาดโทรมาแจ้งว่าผมมีคนที่แมทในการบริจาคสเต็มเซลล์เป็นเด็กผู้หญิงอายุไม่ถึง1 ขวบป่วยเป็นมะเร็งเม็ดเลือดขาวผมก็เลยตัดสินใจบริจาคชีวิตเรามีคุณค่าคืออย่างน้อยเราเกิดมาเพื่อส่งมอบโอกาสให้เขาเพื่อให้เขาได้มีชีวิตต่อไป
เป็นมะเร็งเม็ดเลือดขาวแบบเฉียบพลันค่ะถ้าหนูไม่รักษาหนูจะอยู่ได้แค่6 เดือนไม่เคยแบบรู้สึกว่าอยากยอมแพ้อะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะถ้าปลูกถ่ายสเต็มเซลล์เนี่ยมีโอกาสรอดมากกว่าไม่ปลูกถ่ายเงี้ยค่ะอยากให้เอามาบริจาคสเต็มเซลล์กันเยอะๆเพื่อที่จะแบบช่วยคนที่เขารออยู่หรือช่วยคนที่เป็นมะเร็งแบบหนูมันมีความหมายมากๆกับคนที่รอหรือคนที่ต้องการจริงๆขอบคุณที่พี่ได้ทำให้หนูได้เกิดใหม่อีกครั้งต่อไปนี้จะใช้ชีวิตกับเซลล์ที่ได้มาเป็นอย่างดีค่ะขอบคุณที่ให้โดยไม่หวังผลตอบแทนขอให้พี่เจอแต่สิ่งดีๆคนดีๆนะคะขอบคุณค่ะ
Well, there's a huge sense of anguish and despair with just waiting. And you really don't know. There's nothing you can do. So other than get up and have a go. And so, in spite of the fact that the doctors said, look, there's an extremely slim chance that you will find a match if you campaign for Margot, we felt that a slim chance was better than no chance. So when Margot fell sick, it was October 2013, and the doctors said, actually from the outset, this is an extremely rare condition that she had. They'd seen 3 like her in 10 years at Great Ormond Street Hospital, and so from the beginning they advocated that she needed a bone marrow transplant because traditional chemotherapy wouldn't really do the trick. And I didn't know what that was, and the more people I spoke to, the more I realised that not many people did actually know what a bone marrow transplant was, and that's when Team Margot started, really. Family and friends came together from all over the place, in our community primarily, but much further afield, to help Margot find her matching donor. We know that from that initial 35,000 who signed up, statistically we know that 500 people over the next 10 years will now have the chance of a life-saving bone marrow transplant because of that.
Well, the ACLT was started 21 years ago, and it was started 3 years after my 6-year-old son had been diagnosed with an acute form of leukemia. He'd undergone 2 years of intensive chemotherapy treatment, gone into remission, but 9 months after going into remission he suffered a relapse, so the leukemia came back, and it was at that point that we were told that he needed a bone marrow transplant to beat the disease.
Your immune system and your bone marrow really is made up from, this is an area where race and ethnicity really matters, and I'm mixed race. My father's from Syria, there's a bit of Armenian in that. My mum is half Scottish and half Siamese or Thai, and that's just me. Vicky, my wife, is half English and half New Zealand. So our children are from all over the place.
The problem is that you're much more likely to find a donor in your own ancestral population. So a European is by far and away most likely going to have a North European donor, and as an individual of non-European ancestry is more likely to find a donor in the population of their birth. To determine the match, we call tissue typing. We actually look at proteins called HLA, or human leukocyte antigens. So these are proteins on the surface of everybody's white cell, and to a lesser extent on other tissues. And you have to match to all of those 10 proteins, ideally, to be considered a full match.
So we had to go to an unrelated donor pool, and that was something that we tried to influence and help by campaigning for Margot on her behalf, to swell the numbers, to get people from not just the UK but all over the world.
Because 21 years ago when we started there were less than 600 black people registered in the UK as potential donors, our doctor told us that Daniel had a 1 in a quarter million chance of finding a donor. And so myself and Daniel's stepfather, Oren, we decided to do something very quickly to try and increase the odds of Daniel finding a match. So we set up the ACLT, the African Caribbean Leukemia Trust, to raise awareness, get people registering in large numbers, ultimately to help Daniel, but eventually to help others as well that found themselves in exactly the same situation.
At any one point there are 2,000 people looking for a donor, and we will be facilitating about 1,300 transplants per year. Some of those will be abroad, but roughly we're doing that, but not everybody can find a match. So if you're Caucasian, you'll have about an 80-90% chance of finding a match, and in terms of if you're black or ethnic, you're going to have a sort of 40% chance of finding a match, but in terms of a perfect match, that's going to drop down to around 20%, and for Caucasian it'll be around 60-70%. So there are still people who won't find a match.
I was diagnosed in February 2016, February the 12th, 2016, and it came completely out of the blue. I was completely healthy. Well, I thought I was healthy. I was at work. I was working still. I was doing sport. I was doing activity. I run regularly. I swim regularly. And actually, what happened was I was just actually tired. But because of my job, and I'm a teacher, and at the end of the term, we're generally quite tired. So I just assumed it was normal tiredness. But then it became kind of really fatiguey, where I couldn't actually get out of bed. I was that exhausted. I knew I'd need a donor from about week 4. What they do is they search the register for a donor for me every 3 months. And there's not been, I'm so unique, there's not one available that matches mine.
At a conservative guess, we think that we have registered between 80 and 90,000 people, and that's people of all ethnicities, but our target audience has always been to encourage the black and mixed race communities to register as donors because the numbers are so low. In some cases, people, it's just a matter of raising awareness and explaining what the process is to join the register. But for others, it's been challenging to engage people on this subject matter. I mean, to this day, we still meet people who were aware of our campaign for our son Daniel, who have never registered. And you know, in fact, once you can get in front of people and you can explain in very simple terms what joining the register is and what will happen if you are fortunate enough to be a donor for a patient, then most people are quite happy to do it. So I would say that the biggest hurdle we have is lack of awareness and apathy.
A lot of people, I think, from ethnic minorities initially, didn't think that this kind of thing affected people like ourselves. We didn't realise, or we don't know still, that actually a lot of people like myself do have leukemia, do have other illnesses, where we actually need help from each other, because a lot of the people we've approached have no clue what I'm talking about. And when you ask people to register, they are like, well, what does that mean? They don't know anything, but then neither did I, to be fair.
I rewind, and I was completely absorbed in a different way, looking in a different direction, and I always thought, well, someone else will do it instead of me. Thinking of blood donation. With bone marrow donation, you might be the only person in the world that could help save this person's life. So you can't even palm that off to anyone else.
Hi, my name's Edward Cook, 21 years old, and I am a stem cell match for someone.
It's just one of those things I thought was a good thing. Just like people donate blood, donating stem cells is important, almost more important. You can make the argument one way or the other, but obviously with blood it helps lots of people, but stem cells is quite specific to that particular person.
We had a talk in sixth form, in second year sixth form, on Anthony Nolan, the trust, and after that I felt like I should sign up. For me it didn't seem like a big deal. It was just like going to give you blood every month, and it was just a different donation centre, but a lot of people got behind it. One of my sister's friend's mother had cancer and had to have stem cell donation, and she couldn't believe, you know, that I'd done it and somebody else was going to be receiving it. So it's quite a heartwarming experience, yeah.
I think there's quite a lot of people who are scared about what the procedure might be, and it seems quite lots of big words, and you know, you start throwing around leukemia and cancer and stuff, and people have all sorts of weird and wonderful ideas about, oh, if I donate, maybe I'll get infected. I don't know, all these kind of weird mindsets people have, and I think it's just being clear with people about what it is. So that's kind of why I made that vlog, is just like, this is what happens, it's no big deal. You have 3 lots of injections, which increases, as I say, your stem cell production. And then you have to have a 4th injection, but on that one they want you to go to London or Sheffield, wherever you're donating, just so you're in the area sort of thing. And then you have that, 4th day, and then the day after that you go in and they set you up for the procedure. As you can probably tell, I'm donating right now. Blood and stem cells coming out my left arm, going to the machine on my right, and then coming back into my right arm. It's okay, it's not that unpleasant. I've been here for about 4 hours, so keep you updated.
The process isn't painful at all. The cannulas you get is the most painful part, and that is a prick of the needle. Once that's gone into your arm, that's it. That's as painful as the process gets. 2014, when we were told we have a match, there was a CMV negative match that matched Margot's particular condition and her makeup, and so we used that one. And I can speak on behalf of the patient's family contingent out there to say, oh my God, we are unspeakably grateful for all the blood and platelet donors, let alone Margot's bone marrow donor, because they gave us time, the gift of time, and hope with our daughter. And during that time, we saw her grow and blossom from an infant to a little toddler, and we had extra time.
My son waited 6 years for a donor to be found. So from the date of diagnosis to actually receiving his donated stem cells, it was 6 years. And in that time, he was largely on chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and other toxic drugs. If a donor had been found for him initially, right at the very beginning, he would still be here today. I am convinced of that.
Whilst we're doing better in terms of trying to find someone a match and getting the right donor and getting young people and males, what was very clear is that sadly 50% of people post-transplant will die within 5 years, and that we needed to think about how we could improve the outcomes of transplantation. We've had a research institute which was established in 1996 and does some fantastic research around GVHD, which is a horrible kind of condition you get post-transplant, and also about how understanding more about the 5 genes that we're looking at and how they influence outcome for transplant. I think in the next 10 years we should be able to say that most people should be able to find a donor, find their match. It should be that ethnic minorities also have the same chance as Caucasians, but also Caucasian and ethnic people can find the best match. We should be up at the 90%. I think also we need to really concentrate on improving the survival rate, and that 50% survival rate should be at 75–80%, and we will do everything we can to try and improve outcomes for people.
You know, the world is so big for a start. I believe there's got to be somebody for everyone. I mean, am I really that unique that I cannot find someone that has the same stem cells as myself, just like a lot of us? I think that's not the case. I think the case is we are just not on the register.
If I told you you could save the life of someone with blood cancer, would you believe me? All it takes is a cheek swab and a few minutes of your time to register as a potential blood stem cell donor. Every 20 minutes, someone in the UK is diagnosed with a blood cancer like leukemia, lymphoma or myeloma. A blood stem cell donation from a matching donor could potentially save their lives. We all have a tissue type that could match someone else's, but with thousands of different tissue combinations, finding a matching donor isn't easy. All it takes to register is a quick swab of the inside of your cheeks. You can register online for a swab kit and complete your cheek sample at home. That's it. You're now on the road to becoming a potential blood stem cell donor. The odds are you may never be called upon, but if you are, that's when you have the opportunity to give someone else a second chance of life. This is done in one of two ways. In peripheral blood stem cell collection, blood stem cells are collected from the donor by removing blood from one arm and running it through a machine to separate out the blood stem cells. The blood is then returned to the donor through the other arm. Around 90% of donations are carried out using this method. This is a non-surgical outpatient procedure and takes around 4 to 6 hours. In bone marrow collection, the blood stem cells are collected from the bone marrow from the back of the hip bone using a special syringe. This procedure is carried out under general anaesthetic. The collection itself takes 1 to 2 hours, and most donors return to their regular activities within a week. This method is only used in around 10% of cases. Our vision is to provide every blood cancer patient around the globe with a matching donor. Do your bit today and take the first step to becoming a potential blood stem cell donor by registering to receive your swab kit.
To the person I've never met who saved my life. I was recently diagnosed with leukemia when I was just 29. My doctor noted something was a little off during a routine blood test. Then, 2 days later, I found out I had cancer. The next memories played out like a snippet from a movie. A kind nurse holding my hand while I wailed in shock. A dating show on the TV in the background as I told my brother. Leukemia, just as my career and life were taking off. Worse, I was told I'd be dead in a matter of months if I didn't have a stem cell transplant. Before this, I never knew what leukemia was, let alone a stem cell transplant. And I had no idea there was a registry of people out there who would willingly donate their stem cells to save a stranger's life. But you gave me hope. I can't describe the feeling when I found out you were going to try to save my life. Words just can't convey the gratitude and love I have for you. So instead, I want to give you a feeling. The feeling when I'm hugging my family as I'm watching my nieces grow up, when I'm belly laughing with friends, singing in the car, watching the sunset and hiking in nature. These are the moments I cherish, the moments that blood cancer almost took from me and that you gave back. What were a simple few hours for you has meant a lifetime for me. Thank you for giving me the most precious gift of all, my life. And I hope more people had the same strength to give as you did. Love, Sophie.
My brain was just going, I'm going to die. I'm 16 and I'm going to die.
He gave me 2 months to live without a stem cell transplant. And then this incredible, amazing, selfless individual who I would love to one day possibly meet, but respect not meeting, came along.
For someone to save your life, thank you to me, it just don't cut it.
Thank you. It just seems too little. It's not big enough, it's not wide enough, it's not expansive enough.
I've got no doubt that I wouldn't be here today, alive, if it wasn't for the transplant. I wrote a very short letter, probably no more than 5 or 6 sentences long, and it took me 3 days.
I spent days and days on what to write in this letter to him. What do you say to that person that saved the life of your son? My daughter, she says that If I hadn't lived, she wouldn't have wanted to live either, so my donor saved us both.
A chance to live by just sitting in a chair and having someone take some stem cells out of your arm is pretty incredible.
Without him, there's no me, you know? I wouldn't be here if it weren't for him.
Thank you so much. You did save my life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As a registered member of Strength to Give, you're part of a heroic community who are on standby, ready to help give someone a second chance at life. What happens now? When a patient is looking for a blood stem cell match, the patient's team will check our database for a suitable donor. If your human leukocyte antigen type matches a patient's, you'll receive a phone call letting you know the good news. This call may come in days, months, or years. But being registered means you know you're there to help whenever someone needs your unique HLA type, and that's pretty cool. If you're chosen as a potential match, congratulations! From here, we'll conduct an initial screening, such as a health questionnaire and a blood test, to determine if you're the ideal donor. These test results could take up to 3 months. If you were then selected as the perfect match, you'll be asked to attend a medical appointment to clear you for donating. There are 2 ways you could be asked to donate: peripheral blood stem cell collection, or more uncommonly, bone marrow donation. On average, you will spend a day at a hospital donating your blood stem cells. If you donate, know that we'll support you every step of the way. There are no out-of-pocket costs for you, meaning all travel expenses will be reimbursed. And you won't be alone. We'll be there from answering your questions to organising accommodation. You have the right to withdraw at any time during the screening process. It's completely your choice. However, once you've been cleared to donate, we'd ask you to be fully committed, as the patient will undergo treatment to remove their immune system. Without an immune system, a patient will be at risk of developing serious and life-threatening infections. Your stem cells will help the patient build a new immune system. You can see why being committed is so important, why you are so important for so many reasons. On behalf of patients everywhere, we thank you for being on the registry.
يسعدنا اليوم الحقيقة ويشرفنا اليوم أن نستضيف متبرعين بخلاياهم الجذعية لمرضى ذوي الحاجة من خلال السجل السعودي للمتبرعين بالخلايا الجذعية، وفي حفل تكريمي بتكريمهم بوسام الملك عبد العزيز من الدرجة الثالثة. هذا الوسام عبارة عن تقدير قيادة المملكة العربية السعودية لهذا العمل الجليل، ونشكر كل من ساهم في هذا السجل وكل من ساهم في إنقاذ حياة المرضى، ولله الحمد في هذا البلد المبارك، بلد الإنسانية. شكرا لكم.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. متبرعة بالخلايا الجذعية لإنقاذ حياة مريض، الحمد لله اللي سخرني لهذا العمل. أشكر حكومتنا الرشيدة على دعمها، وأدعو الجميع للمساهمة في هذا العمل والتسجيل، ومن أحياها فكأنما أحيا الناس جميعا.
Traces of you linger like a teardrop, fresh upon the air. My heart sings for you. Play me like a rain cloud, sounds upon the air. The story begins in Seoul, South Korea, sometime in the early 1970s. As the country awakens as an emerging economy. But in an old neighborhood, perched high on a hill on the outskirts of Seoul, many ordinary citizens are still struggling to make ends meet. It is in one of its ramshackle houses that a hearing-impaired couple have a daughter whom they eventually send to the Netherlands to be adopted by another couple in the hope that she will have a better future. 20 years later, his daughter has returned to Seoul as an exchange student. As she rides the subway on her daily commute to Yonsei University, she studies the faces of the people sitting across from her. The faces of the middle-aged men and women who had built up South Korea from the ashes of the Korean War, and that reveal a lifetime of hardship and struggle. She suddenly realizes that any of these faces could well belong to her biological father or mother. On an earlier trip to Seoul, she visited the orphanage where she had lived, only to learn that no one there knew anything about her biological parents. In a way, she felt relieved. There was no need for her to worry about the impact that the search might have on her life or on that of her parents. But in a country that has overcome repeated foreign attacks and many hardships on the road to peace and prosperity, people take pride in the blood, sweat, and tears that they share. I equals we, and we are one. A taxi driver, quick to notice her faltering Korean, reminds her, "You are not Dutch. Your blood is Korean, so you are Korean." As she wanders through the crowded streets of Seoul, experiencing life as an outsider within the skin of an insider, she is unaware that just a few kilometers away, her Korean father, old, weak, and borne down by cirrhosis of the liver, has gathered his final strength to climb up the steep hill to the orphanage where he once left her. In a last-ditch effort to see his offspring, he visits the orphanage several times, panting and sweating as he collects his breath sitting on the porch. Eager for more news, he is saddened each time when he learns that no letter has arrived yet. A few months after their daughter had been put up for adoption, a second daughter was born, and the couple had to give this child up for adoption too. Since then, the father had spent his days surviving on a small government grant. The couple's story would have remained unknown, and their significance as parents a mere footnote in the life of their daughter, had the father's cry of distress not reached her adopted parents in the Netherlands. Sadly, the father passes away before he can be reached by the Dutch family. However, his children are eventually united. In a stroke of luck, it turns out that the younger daughter was also adopted by a Dutch family, and the two girls have grown up within an hour's drive of one another. In the years that follow, the sisters get to know each other, and gradually a friendship between them forms. But it's only many years later that the true meaning of their newly discovered sisterhood is revealed. And it is then that their birth father's last wish proves to be a blessing for the elder daughter. In 2011, she's diagnosed with acute leukemia, and only her younger sister's stem cells can save her life. Suddenly, blood ties are crucial to her very existence. She now has a 25% chance of a related donor match. Amazingly, tests reveal that her younger sister is a perfect match, providing the ultimate proof that they really are sisters. Thanks to her younger sister's stem cells, she survives. At last, the taxi driver is proven right. blood is thicker than water. However, in an unsettling twist of events, the younger sister is diagnosed with an aggressive form of stomach cancer the following year. Sadly, the elder sister cannot save her, but the younger sister's blood will continue to flow in the elder sister. This is the story of my father, my sister and I, and the bond that connects us through life and death. Our lives, which all took very different routes, were woven back together by my father's final wish and my sister's invaluable gift of life. It is through the traces they have left and my sister's blood running through my veins that I can feel the bond of kinship and protection. Never again will I be alone. I will carry my sister with me wherever I go. Her blood has become my blood, and my life has become her life. In summer 2013, my husband, brother-in-law and I climbed up the steep hill to the orphanage. Much had changed since my first visit in 1992. It was no longer a last stop for children sent to be adopted by new families in different countries. A change in Korean law had put a halt to overseas adoption. The cheerful sounds of children running around had disappeared, leaving only the empty rooms and playground as silent witnesses of a history long gone. Returning to the orphanage, I felt as if I had gone full circle, back to the place where the lives of my father, my sister and I had taken a momentous turn. Tracing the steps our lives had taken from there and the fate that had brought us back together, I realized once more how unbelievably lucky I had been and how precious the gift was that my father and sister had given me. It is now summer 2014 and there has been another change of scenery. My Indian husband and I have moved back to India, where I had first been diagnosed with leukemia. Like so many other Indian families at this time of year, we are celebrating Raksha Bandhan. To mark this auspicious day, millions of sisters tie a Rakhi, which is a sacred bracelet made of interwoven threads, around the wrists of their brothers. With this ritual, they bless their brothers while reminding them of their duty to protect their sisters. The Rakhi is the symbol of sibling love and protection and reaches beyond immediate family ties. On Raksha Bandhan, every Indian boy and man wears his Rakhi with pride. On this day, I imagine symbolically tying Rakhis around the wrists of my sister and father, family and friends, as well as the doctors and nurses of the hematology ward at Leiden University Medical Center where I was treated. In a world that is filled with conflict and violence, I find it a comforting thought that anonymous donors are willing to give their stem cells to save the lives of patients they do not know, sometimes on the other side of the world. Maybe the German philosopher Friedrich von Schiller was right after all, and all people will become brothers and sisters eventually. This story is dedicated to my Korean father, who truly came to life for me after his death, and to my dear sister, who will always remain a part of me.
Any time of day when a child is born, we courier drivers transport fresh cord bloods from the hospital and deliver them straight to the blood banks for long-term storage. Hopefully, they will once serve as a life-saving transplant for a cancer patient.
Once a stem cell product is collected, it is very important to ensure that nothing goes wrong. We as stem cell transport agents plan with different fallback options, so in case of irregularities we have a plan B to ensure that the stem cells reach the patient on time and in the right condition. I am a stem cell transport agent and I support saving lives.
When a cancer patient searches for a suitable stem cell donor, we logistics managers make sure that their blood samples arrive in the lab safe and in time. I'm a sample logistic manager and I support saving lives.
We stem cell trainers make sure to share all our experience with each courier so that every transport mission can be a success. I am a stem cell courier trainer and I support saving lives.
Did you ever wonder how freshly donated blood stem cells travel globally to cancer patients in need? We stem cell couriers hand carry each individual transplant to even the remotest places on Earth. Direct, secure and as fast as possible. I'm a stem cell courier and I support saving lives.
Courier preserved materials like cord blood or cell therapy products cannot be X-rayed. It must be handled with utmost care. We, special cargo agents, make sure that life-saving products are treated appropriately with air transport procedures. I'm a special cargo handling agent and I support saving lives.
When cell therapy products are bound to fly as air cargo, they go through many hands. It is essential that everyone involved knows what they're dealing with. We are airside monitoring agents, supervise the cargo procedure on the tarmac and are advocates of our life-saving products transported. I'm an airside monitoring agent and I support saving lives.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, traveling of stem cell couriers was heavily restricted. At certain times, only freighter aircraft were operating and stem cell transplants could not be accompanied by their couriers. We cargo pilots took care of thousands of transplants, bringing them to destinations worldwide so that cancer patients had a chance of surviving. I am a cargo pilot and I support saving lives.
Ich bin meiner Spenderin jeden Tag dankbar, dass sie mein Leben weiterleben darf.
感謝骨髓捐贈者，多謝你哋嘅捐贈。
多謝所有骨髓捐贈者，全靠你哋，我哋嘅病人就有重生嘅機會啦！多謝。
Thank you, donor.
Thank you, donors.
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 Wir danken allen Spenderinnen und Spender weltweit, die uns im Kampf gegen Blutkrebs unterstützen.
Thank you so my wife, mate.
From the bottom of our hearts, we're just so grateful.
Thank you, Vanish, for saving my life.
I don't know where I'd be today without you. Thank you.
תורמים יקרים, תודה רבה על הזכות ועל החסד שאתם לוקחים חלק בו, ובזכותכם הילדים המופלאים האלה מקבלים חיים חדשים. תודה.
Donoren, dankjewel.
Jullie zijn fantastisch. Dankjewel dat jullie helpen levens redden.
Anyone can have a massive impact on someone's life just by getting swabbed and donating.
A palavra hoje é gratidão. Eu só tenho a agradecer a oportunidade de ser uma doadora de medula óssea.
شكرا لتبرعكم.
A ti, que has hecho un esfuerzo y un sacrificio para ayudar a alguien a vivir y que has decidido formar parte de este movimiento maravilloso, te quiero decir gracias, donante.
உங்கள் எலும்பு மஜை நன்கொடைக்கு நன்றி.
Terima kasih kepada semua para penderma di dunia. Sumbangan anda amat dihargai.
From all of us here at the Welsh Bone Marrow Donor Registry, we extend a sincere thank you. Our volunteer donors are the heart and soul of everything we do, and together we are able to achieve life-changing successes for patients in Wales, the UK and worldwide.
Bună! Sunt Florentina și acum 5 ani am beneficiat de un transplant de celule stem. Vreau să mulțumesc cu această ocazie tuturor celor care au avut curajul să doneze. Thank you, donor!
Ah, ça fait super mal de donner sa moelle osseuse, je vous jure.
Oh, c'est pas possible, on n'y croit pas du tout, Ryan. Je sais pas, qu'est-ce qui se passe là?
Bah oui, on n'y croit pas, mais enfin, je suis désolé, j'ai tout essayé là. Pour le coup, j'ai tout tenté, je sais pas comment le jouer, je suis pas crédible. Enfin, je suis désolé, les gars, mais qu'est-ce que vous voulez que je fasse, moi?
On September 19th, we want to thank our blood stem cell donors all around the world.
Especially our homegrown heroes here in Australia.
Our donors are lifesavers and we want to thank you for being such incredible legends.
DKMS says, thank you, donors. Together with 900 people across 7 countries, we are so proud of every potential lifesaver around the world. You give hope to our patients, to all patients with blood cancer. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Siapulila. Inkosi. Shukran. Thank you. Thank you, donors!
Y estoy hablando desde el Registro Español de Donantes de Médula Ósea de la Fundación Josep Carreras. Desde aquí les queremos dar las gracias a todos los donantes alrededor del mundo. Este año fue particularmente difícil y a pesar de esto, ustedes estuvieron ahí para todos los pacientes. Gracias por ayudarnos a ser imparables. Gracias, donantes.